A hearty welcome on a Friday afternoon to everybody out there. This is Tyler of the Between Two Wheels podcast, episode 231. Today we're going to talk, bike racing. It finally happened. Real in-person bike racing happened in Northern California. We'll talk about that. We'll go over some results. Old men complaining online. That never stops. At least we have that. We'll talk about Flanders, Pais Vasco, Scheldeprijs. We got it all coming up for you. But first, how's your day going? I hope everyone is having a good one. It's Friday afternoon. What is this? The 9th of April, 2021. Life's cruising along. I've been getting out riding. I've been a little bit more consistent. Happy about that. So hope you are as well. We actually got to do a bike race last week. And with that bike race, it was fun. I thought we'd talk a little bit about the Chowchilla crit. What was exciting about that was just not only going out and doing a race, but seeing a bunch of old friends and people and laughing and having a good time. Did a little bit of racing myself, and it was a little odd just getting back into it. Felt a little sketchy to begin with, but about halfway through, decided to get a little more aggressive as far as moving around in the field, and felt fine. I did watch some of the videos that were out there. Sean Begley had a good one from the 45s. Mark Tucker had a few videos. There was Legion of LA had a little bit. I think Linder did one on NorCal Cycling. There was some also a harrowing view of the Cat 4-5 race video, rear camera. That one took some nerves just to watch. I don't know if anybody else got to see that, but I hope they are able to do so. Look, I thought I would start off with just a little bit of reminiscing. If you're new to the program, first of all, welcome. But I thought maybe I'd give you a little understanding of kind of where our show has gone, and maybe I'm going to play a little clip here of an old show, but because I thought about it when I played a clip. I don't know if you've ever heard of Chris Horner. He's got a show
covering every attack with their domestiques. Okay.
Going too soon to Chris Horner, but I will say with this about Chris Horner, he's got a show called The Butterfly Effect. He does a great job of analysis. And I came across this little nugget from him the other day, and I thought we'd play it. Here he goes.
Okay, Van Honeybook, great rider. We saw him win for Jumbo-Visma. Wout van Aert win Gent Wevelgem because he had one domestique with him that controlled everything to the finish. Let's
play that one more time.
Every attack with their domestiques. Okay, Van Honeybook.
Van Honeybook. That, I think he meant Van Hooydonk. And look, I'm not one to make great pronouncements on names, so I thought I would play that because I thought it was very interesting. And then it reminded me of a show we did, one of my favorite ones, episode 90 of the Between Two Wheels podcast called "That's a Rough One." Guangxi. We talked about some transgender issues and complaints du jour. But this was our lovely co-host here, Chris Flower, and
kind of a cool opportunity for some of the guys that didn't get a lot of sprint opportunities earlier in the year to show their stuff as the year closes out. So stage one, Dylan Groenewegen.
Yeah, let me ask you this: did you put these in with voice to text, or did you type them in?
I typed
because it says Greenwagon.
It does.
Moscon's first name changes halfway through as well.
Okay, so or did you have your assistant do this?
It's much more American by the end.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Continue on.
Dylan Greenwagen. He won the first stage over Max Walscheid. From
it says Wall Street.
These were supposed to be reviewed and edited, I thought.
We don't have that kind of budget.
Oh, yeah, you tell me. Stage two, Bora. They've got a sprinter, Ackerman. I'm not too familiar with him, but he beat Groenewegen. Groenewegen kept the leader jersey through that day. Stage three, same thing.
These names. It's like the cycling computer game that didn't get the licensing rights. So
Right.
They're all just a little off.
Fabulous Fabio Jacobson. Soft J. Oh, sorry, Jakobsen.
Thank you.
These edit notes for me is like a script, laughter. with
Must
the
be.
win. Ackerman second, Wall Street third, Walsheed.
It's definitely not Wall Street.
No.
All right. So wonderful. Good time. By the way, this, that's one of my favorite episodes to go back to. We have good times. We used to have good times. Let's see if we get some chats here. Jason Smith says, yay, just heard it, but about to head out on a ride. So if I keep listening, does it count as a team ride? Yes, it does. Jason, keep going. Chris Flower, does this have upgrade points? No, mostly downgrade. And I thought we would play one more item here. This was from Flanders, and my friend Jonathan Scriven sent this to me, and it's a little bit of a break check. So this happened right away at the first part of the stage of Flanders. You're going to see an Astana rider come up to the front here and go in front of Alpecin, and then kind of get a B&B Hotels rider going on here. So let's take a look here. Rider's going up there. There's the Astana rider, and he sides. He's pounding away. The guy's on his wheel, and all of a sudden he is going to just kind of sit up. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the right thing to do. This guy, overreactions galore. And here you go. Now I'm going to run into these guys. Oh, it's a Bora rider. Okay. This is just the craziness that happened going into Flanders. Some crazy shit going on. Fedorov does a completely unnecessary brake check. Vergerd intimidates Fedorov. Fedorov, fueled by adrenaline, intends to do the same. Based on the rules, both should be DQ'd. And Chris, we had an issue talking about some DQ stuff, and we'll go over that with Pais Vasco maybe. Just going over it real quick. But first, I thought we'd talk about Scheldeprijs. And Scheldeprijs was a race, one-day race, kind of a sprinters come one, come all race that we have there this week in, what is it? It was in Belgium. And it was pretty flat. So ends up getting a breakaway. And with that breakaway, I mean, look, we'll play actually the last kilometer here. Maybe not, hopefully not get a strike against us. But the last K is pretty interesting because you ended up having a breakaway. And with that breakaway, you had 3 or 4 Duquonis quick step riders in there. You had some Alpecin Phoenix riders in there, which was Philipson was in there. You had Sam Bennett, you had Cavendish in there. So, and you had Morkov. So it was all, look, the main guys were up front, ready to go for it. And here is your final 1K. We don't really need to listen to it, but the overhead shot, you can see that coming into the finish here on the left-hand side, you end up having Duquonis quick step. Cavendish is coming in behind Bennett's wheel. He's sitting on Bennett's wheel. And then Alpecin over here on the far right, you end up seeing them kicking hard. It's on the left as it's coming towards the screen. And Morkov kind of boxes in Bennett. Then Bennett's kind of hesitating, and he's leading out Cavendish. I don't know. Cavendish kind of hanging out over there. Cavendish ends up doing a nice third place. You think, oh, second and third on the day. But Alpecin Phoenix ends up getting the win and kind of showing off in a sense of the real sense of the form there. So you had, let's go to the results page. Jasper Philipsen gets first, Sam Bennett in second, and Mark Cavendish and third. Danny Van Poppel for Wanty and Gobert, or it used to be Ingemarsh. Clement Russo, Pascal Ackerman for Bora, Luca Giancomo. And so look, solid group there. Max Wall Street, as Chris would be want to say. Okay, so what I just want to say here initially is I think Duquonis Quickstep screwed themselves over. They had Morkov, their best lead out rider, for their best sprinter, Sam Bennett. This should not have been much of an issue there. But they got a little confused with their sweeper, Cavendish. What's Cavendish doing there? He's sitting on the back. He's not helping the whole time. Then the sprint comes down, and he sits on the back. Is he sweeping? Maybe. So he gets third. He feels good about that. But I think they really blew it because he probably should have been leading out Morkov. He should have been on the front, hitting it early. Morkov had to go a little bit later. And then as it is, he's dying. He pulls into the middle. It's more confusion. And I don't know if the team was confused or they were trying to be nice to Cavendish and say, hey, you sit on, see what you can do. You're not going to really beat Bennett. But you could come along for the ride. I think that's exactly what happened. And well, they got second and third. You should still feel good. But Jasper Philipsen ends up getting the win. I think they shit the bed in that one, and they deserve to be so. Nice. I remember last year Wiggins is saying, Cavendish, he deserves, just by merit of his long-standing with the king and the queen, and actually just his long standing in the world of cycling, he deserves to just be on his spot. And I'm like, not really. I mean, it's all about merit based as far as the last bit. Maybe he turns into a DS or something out there. This seems like a charity case type of thing. And you say that with him getting third, but with this team, there's no reason that they shouldn't have actually won on the day. So Scheldeprijs, interesting, but it's kind of the way it was. What else do we have here? We had Flanders going on. So Flanders kind of step back a little bit. I don't know if you ended up seeing that, but it came down to Van der Poel. Look, it had the week before Van der Poel, he's getting dropped out of a break. Was that E3? I'm not sure. It's one of those Wevelgem, maybe it was E3 or one of those races. Did not look good. And everyone's like, hey, kind of what's happening. And then you have Paris-Roubaix being pushed off. So everyone's kind of reformatting their racing and everything's on for Flanders. Comes in there, Wout's looking good. He's got it up the road, but he's doing a lot of work the whole day. He ends up getting dropped out of the break, and you just got Asgreen, who had won previously. I'm trying to remember which race it was, but he had soloed off Wevelgem, I think it was in that one. And then he's up there with Mathieu van der Poel, and you're like, well, it's going to be van der Poel. I mean, you're not going to out sprint him in this race. And he starts to lead out the sprint maybe a little early, and Asgreen holds on. Asgreen starts kicking on the line, and when you can tell that Mathieu van der Poel was not going to make it, he just kind of gave up. I think he was spent. He'd put in a lot of work, and Asgreen ends up getting the win for Flanders. So he's really coming of age and having a great season, being able to pull some things off. You saw that with the break a few weeks ago, or last week or so, and then saw him getting the break here and winning in a 2-up sprint against Mathieu van der Poel. Who would have guessed? Well, I don't know. Someone might have guessed that. Pretty impressive for him. What is he? The Danish champion. Also, we always say this, Tour of California winner up on at Heavenly, big race from Folsom on up there. So it was pretty impressive for him. Scheldeprijs, done and dusted. Flanders, over and over. And then we had the Chowchilla Basque Country stage race, also known as Pais Vasco. Chris Horner had previously won that, I want to say 2010. You'd had a moment there, I think, of Trek 5 straight years they had been on the podium or winning that race. So pretty impressive. It's in the Basque Country. It's known for a lot of the climbing stuff here. And you end up having an amazing group of riders showing up. Roglic, Pogačar, Schachmann. Like I said, Roglic, you had Hugh Carthy. I mean, it's pretty much Adam Yates for Ineos. So everything looked pretty good. Now, talk about Jumbo. They were a little diminished on the team that they sent there. As far as climbers go, I think you had Tolhoek and you had Jonas Vingegaard, I think, or something like that. Although the guy on GCN was calling Vingo, I think is what he kept calling him. Anyway, so they start out with stage 1, and it was, let's see if we go stage 1 here. Started out with a time trial, and the time trial looked a little bit reminiscent of, once again, Planche de Belfi, stage 20 of last year's Tour de France, the one where you end up having, this is about Bilbao, this is where they started, but this the profile seemed somewhat similar to what you had in the Planche de Belfi, where it's a little bit of flat, and then it has a pitch going up at the end. Overall, though, you ended up having Primož Roglic. He goes out really early, sets everything on fire. He's in the hot seat for over 2 hours. Brandon McNulty comes in 2 seconds adrift. We've been seeing this, we saw this with, what's the gentleman, the other American last year, just barely missing out in the Vuelta to Primož Roglic in a race like this. Jonas Vingegaard for Jumbo in third. Tobias Foss, another Jumbo. So Jumbo kind of all of a sudden stacks this thing up like they had just done in Paris-Nice. Pogačar, Adam Yates, Bevan, and so on. So Primož Roglic starts out first day, putting himself right up in the lead and looking very good. So we're not going to go over through every single one of these stages, but what you ended up seeing here is stage 2. Let's go to the results. A little bit of a breakaway, and they had some climbs, and Astana ends up riding really good. What we're seeing here, and you're seeing some complaints back and forth, is teams doing the work for the Slovenians. Stage 3, you ended up seeing Alex Aranburu, and then Omar Fraley get the 1 and 2 over Tadej Pogačar on stage 2. Stage 3, it's a much more climby stage, and you ended up seeing, once again, Pogacar and Roglic going off. Pogacar ends up nipping Roglic at the line. Valverde gets distance. Adam Yates looks pretty good in there. Who also looks good is Brandon McNulty, due to his good time trial, is slowly staying on. Now, stage 2, there was an issue where Brandon McNulty had gone up trying to get in some of the break. He puts his hands over the bars. Is he going to be DQ'd for that? I don't know. Chris Flower, thank you, here, had looked up how that's done. And there was also another thing, I'm trying to remember the rider's name, that had been DQ'd from a stage race for dropping his bottle. Michael Schar, maybe who it was. They said he was littering or dropping bottle stuff. No, there's a rally rider that dropped, I think Michael Schar might have dropped a bottle outside the feed zone. And then there was a rally rider that had dropped some debris, and they said, oh, he was littering. Now he said he was trying to put it in his pocket. So I think one-day stage races, it's just a DQ. Stage race, one-day races, just DQ. Stage races, there's penalties, and your third infraction, I think, is when you end up getting kicked out. So that didn't happen to Brandon McNulty. At least maybe there was a time penalty. Didn't really see it. Point is, he's been looking pretty good. But you are also seeing with these races, you're seeing riders, teams that are just doing a lot of work on the front. They're like, hey, and Jumbo doesn't have a big contingent here, so the other teams are doing all the work for him. Roglic being able to sit in. Then UAE, they have actually 2 guys up there that look a little bit more impressive, and the other teams are still doing work for them as well. Movistar, everyone wants to be the Movistar team where they come out and they hammer on the front and then blow up their team for no reason. That seems to be the kind of the case that's happening here. Well, what was most impressive was, so we had yesterday's stage, okay? Stage 5, have a little climb, then there's going to be a dip down to the finish. Up the climb, Brandon McNulty ends up making a move up there, and he gets away. But near the top of the climb, Jonas Vingegaard of Jumbo-Visma actually stays with his leader, and he pulls him up to the front. They catch McNulty, who's at the time, third or fourth on GC, 20-some seconds back. They pull him together over the top, but then as they crest the top and go on, McNulty ends up igniting again, going on further. And with so does Jonas Vingegaard. So Jonas is up there. He's like third or so, right near, he's 13 seconds, I think, behind McNulty at the time, but he's on the team of Roglic. He ends up going ahead, and I'm like, now Roglic is there starts to be a gap. There's 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Now all of a sudden the virtual lead is going up the road with McNulty, and he's up there with Bilbao. He's up there with Izagirre. He's up there with Vingegaard and Emmanuel Bachmann, Esteban Chavez. So those guys are all up the road, and the best placed overall is Brandon McNulty. And Jonas is up there. And I'm like, he doesn't really have anybody in the back. I think Tobias Foss is back there with Roglic. They need to bring this back because McNulty is going to end up being in the lead. Jonas sits on. He doesn't win the sprint. He gets fourth. McNulty gets third in the day. Pila Bilbao gets second, and Izagirre gets first. So McNulty also gets a time bonus. With this, you should have had Jonas drop back right up with his team to help bring Roglic up there. You're not going to, Jonas hasn't been looking as good on the climbs as McNulty has, as an example. Anyway, let's take a look here. Give you guys the results on yesterday's stage. Izagirre, Bilbao, Brandon McNulty, and then we go to the GC. This is the most exciting part. McNulty goes up to second, 2 places up to first. He's 23 seconds on Roglic over Vingegaard and Bilbao, Pogacar, and Yates. Minute there. So it really all comes down to stage 6, which is tomorrow. And what is that profile going to be? Well, it's mountainous, and it is a shorter one. It's more like, I want to say 70. Yeah, it's 110 kilometers, like 70 miles. Some pretty good actual climbs in it. But when you have a stage like that, that is a little bit shorter, it's not like your 120-mile stage where you might be able to, Roglic is going to be more impressive as the day goes on. Now, it may be hot and on like you haven't seen for a while, and so it may be really kind of restrictive for a McNulty, but I think you may have a chance to actually get the overall. And then we'll have to do, instead of Jonas bringing Roglic back up, doing some good work, and keeping it within closing distance. Instead, who knows what it's going to be. But today you had a little breakaway. You had 2 Ducati Quick Step riders up the road with the Trek guy, and the teams are all trying to chase this thing back. It's not happening. And you had Honore, I want to say his name is. He attacks first. The Trek Siegfried of John Bernard couldn't go with him, and then you had Cherney going up the road. So those two guys solo in together. Pretty impressive for De Quina. They did that one much better than they did in Scheldeprijs. All right, so that's what we have with Pais Vasco. Why don't we go to the show that everyone's probably looking for here? Is the NorCal Chowchilla Crit. This happened this last weekend. I don't know if it's Central California. Is it Southern California? Is it Northern California? I took it on as Northern. So we go out there. It's a race down 2 hours or so south of Sacramento. And 4 of us went down there, and it was in a development that they just never finished. So it's all out there in open fields and, decent roads. And the course was pretty good. It had some little switchbacks. There was a back and forth to it. There's a bunch of videos out there, 8 turns or so. Last corner, the right-hander, it's a little more than a 90. And then the wind is kind of coming from the head and left. So and the wind was pretty significant out there as far as it started to make a difference, especially at the finish. We had plans of going a little bit before the corner. I just didn't have the good fitness or anything to do as far as the Masters 45-35 that raced together. It was a 50-minute race, and I thought maybe we would see if we could find a video here of the finish. So I don't know if, first of all, come around the finish, I see Mike Sayers, and I'm like, Mike, how'd it go? Now, Mike, before the last corner, he does his seminal move where he jumps off the front, goes into the last corner solo, and then tries to make it to the finish. The last finish was pretty long. We came around there shortly thereafter behind him. I saw him move. I'll have a video of the race myself from my cameras. Saw him go, yelling at my riders to jump on because I suck and I wasn't able to go. He did the amazing move, comes around the corner, gets out in the wind, and solos into the finish. Meanwhile, the sprint is just crashing around him. And I said to him, "Hey, how'd you do?" And he looks at me with a stunned look on his face. And first of all, he said, "Look, the preview show, you did not mention my name." I'm like, "Well, we did. We brought it up." And he's like, "No, you didn't mention it to me." And it pissed me off. And so I was coming out here to show you what I've got. Now, he's a little tongue in cheek with me, maybe. And Mike, I do apologize that we didn't call you out. You definitely should have been. But how about we call you out now? We'll call you out. Okay. John Simmons, friend of the podcast. That's a lot of noise. We'll see if we can do it a little bit again. And let's see here. So here's the finish. We can take a look at the finish here. John Simmons did this. As you can see, okay, so as you're looking at it, you're looking at the rider's head on. The wind is coming from their left, our right. Here's Mike Sayers in the lead. He's got it. You got Sam Benedict of Mike's, who was coming up close to him. Super Dave Colzel is coming up with him as well. And then there's a little gap, and then there's a bunch of, now results got kind of messed up. But let's just take a look and show you the very finish here, how they did. One more time. Okay, we can stop it right there. Sam Benedict of Mike's Bikes ends up with the bike throw. Mike Sayers was going to do a hand pump, and you know what, Mike? All you had to do was keep the hands down, and you would have ended up getting that. So now, lucky for Mike, they split the results. So it wasn't so bad for him anyway, because he ended up winning, but because Sam was a 35, Sayers was a 45. But Mike, we had good laughs with him afterwards when we were talking about this. Of all people, right? It's not me who never gets to the winning circle, or very often. I haven't, at least lately. It's Mike who's done course dates. He's raced in Europe. He's done it all. He knows better. So it was, and I'll say this, Mike took this very well. Yes, Chuck laughed about that. Should we show it one more time just to make sure that everybody has a good understanding of how this race finish was? And so you can take a look here. Oh, just got him at the line. That is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to watch. It's heartbreaking to talk about. But maybe a little bit more from Mike. So Mike took it well. I will say that. He took some abuse on that, and we gave it to him pretty good. But like I said, for him and for some of the relief that he at least had is he still won the 45s overall. So let's take a look at the results here. And they had results bad until maybe midweek. It was kind of missing a bunch of different people. So maybe that's the 45 3/4. Let's go back here. So Mike ended up winning the 45s, and Sam Benedict ended up winning the 35s. Okay, so you got Sam Benedict, Michael Claudio, Jeff Scott of our team. Data Driven was third. Richard Gable, I think he put on the race. Yes, he did. Villa Kings in fourth. Miles Lamont in fifth. Jonathan, I'm not going to get that name right. Dolce, Don Chapin, Marcus Beltramo. Anyway, it was a good smattering of people out there. Chris Reichert comes in at 17th. He did a lot of work. Matter of fact, there was a break up the road at one point. Our teammate got up in there. Jeff Scott and Dave Cosell and a few others, and Reichert went to the front for about a lap and a half and just decided to pull it back. Mike Sayers in the P1 45s gets first over Dave Cosell, Jerome Nadal, Bart Clifford, John Bergman, Sean Bagley, Hunter Zing, and John Novikov down there in eighth, our teammate. I really did mess up for him. I did not do as I should have for a good lead out. These things happen. It's first race of the year. So we're still trying to work some of these kinks out. Juniors got a race free out there. There's a bunch of juniors, good sized fields in all. Our guys went and did the 2-3s later on in the day. The wind was really picking up. Team California was dominant in that. They got a group of 4 off the front. Actually, Garrett Smith of Sierra Nevada was first off the front solo. Then they bridged up to him, put him out of the back. Then 2 Team California guys, they go 1-4. And then there was another group of 4 chasing. Just the wind split everything up. So we ended up best. It was 9th place on the day. How about though? We took at the Pro 1-2-3 field. I did not stay for this race, but we can just kind of look there. It was a breakaway. Tyler Williams of the Legion of LA with Luke Lamperti. It was a bike throw for Tyler over Luke. Those guys are buddies, so it was cool to see them. It's kind of a replay of Snelling. Miles Hubbard, John Borstelman, he's a beast. Eddie Huntsman from Elevate. Corey Williams then took in the field sprint over Justin Williams. And let's see, Jeff Linder coming in there at 9th place. Good spot him. Michael Claudio. Some of these guys did 2 or 3 races in the day. So stellar work for them. I think Mark Tucker, you should be in here as well someplace. Anyway, I enjoyed doing the race. I think it was good experience. Good to go down there. Fun times having in all. And I think they're going to be putting on another race here. I want to say they said first part of May. So we're going to be doing this all over again down there in Chowchilla. Hopefully I'll be able to go again. Oh, look, I had reported to you all before this that I had an issue with my license. And I was able to go down there. I was able to race. I'm finally able to have a license that works now. At least this doesn't say anymore on my thing that it's expired. It said expired the whole time I was down there. They were pretty cool about trying to help out. Villa Kings, great work in getting their event coordinated. Parking was really good. This is a good spot. I mean, you didn't need VIP parking. I know there were some issues about people not having their VIP parking spots, but I'll just tell you, it was not a problem for most everybody. And it's just a kind of, porta potties, everything went well. I know there was masking that was required down there, but didn't have a problem. So with that in mind, now some other promoters are putting out some races, and of course, old men are complaining. So I saw this on Facebook yesterday, and I thought I'd read it. It's Sky Martinez. He's been putting on some races, and he's going to have some stuff there in Livermore. He'd kind of taken over the red kite thing, and I know there was a bad taste in people's mouth. And I'd reached out to him to come on and have some comments, but he, Matt Martinez, that is, but he was busy today. So maybe we'll do it next week and kind of update everyone on this. But thought I would just read a little bit of his thing here and then bash you all for making complaints. Hello, NorCal riders. To start off with, there was nothing underhanded or shady about using NABRA over USAC. We have kept the NCNCA aware of the possible intention throughout. We have a very intense intention of paying the NCNCA surcharge. Okay, so just to kind of give a heads up on some of this, he's doing a race. He's going to sanction it through NABRA, which is another organization, rather than USA Cycling. Okay, we've had these Orba. They have it out there in Oregon. We used to have a different one. I don't remember the name of it when I raced out in Colorado. It's just a different. It's we kind of have a monopoly on with USAC, and it's good to have some other things here. So some people are like, oh, you're doing this, but you're supposed to pay NCNCA fees and USA Cycling fees. It's just another thing where you're stealing money because same people come out voicing their concern. Our goal is to provide, so he ends up saying, we have every intention of paying the NCNCA surcharge. We have reached out to USAC to see if they will recognize any results for upgrading, because that's kind of what Chris had talked about here. Do we get upgrade points for this? Well, first of all, I don't know if we have enough races. So if you guys are really concerned about upgrades, maybe just have more races and see if this happens. I mean, is that your be all end all for racing? No, I guess it is. As a Cat 1, our goal is to provide NorCal riders with a quality race experience. These event opportunities came up so fast, we needed to move forward quickly. So we chose the most efficient route for providing a race for you. All race standards and experiences will be the same as any other NorCal race you have attended in the past. The officiating, results, and service is just the same as we have provided in the past. No license is required. We just want riders to adhere to their racing, their current respective categories for safety reasons. So you're a Cat 1, you're a Cat 5. Do this so similarly with this NABRA type of thing, okay? We are covering NABRA license costs for all riders. There you go, people. I didn't even have to get my USAC license. I could have skipped out on the $100 for that and I'd gone over and did some NABRA races, brah, and been just fine. We are covering the NABRA license costs for all riders. If you would like more information, please feel free to reach out to me directly. If I don't respond to your inquiries immediately, is due to the fact that I am teaching during the day. Okay, so he's teaching. Look, so I'm not going to go through all the negative comments here because there were a lot. Some people are like, I can't believe you would do this. Why wouldn't you get a USAC? Well, he said he wasn't able to get it quickly in time. Trust me, as Richard Gable, I know you guys had done Vela Kings. You'd just done a race and you're able to do it. If it's anything like me just trying to figure out my license, God help us. I mean, no wonder he went elsewhere to get something done. And look, it's he's still going to pay the NCAA surcharge, he says. He's declaring that out there. He's paying your license fees for NABRA. Are you guys I mean, you got a sticker from USA Cycling. Is that the reason that you are making sure that you are only racing under their license? People, I'm not really sure. You know, someone's like, I'm so disappointed. I'm definitely not going to do this. Definitely keep us updated. That's what someone says here. If USAC will recognize it. So everyone's worried about the upgrade points. There's a lot of complaints here. I'm just almost baffled, but hey, teach their own. So I'll see if I can get a hold of Matt Martinez, have him come on, just do a quick understanding of what's going on. So check the NCAA page for more information. Races coming up. I know he's getting some going in Livermore. And then maybe some of you, the more vocal ones out there, I'll try to dig through some of you, or you can even send them to me. I know there were a few out there. I don't want to call anybody out, but if you want to come and voice your complaints as well, I would do. Oh, we got a chimer in here. All bike race. Oh, didn't you say bike? All you said bike racers are whiners. Chuck, yes, Chuck Hutchinson. I totally agree. The show was going to be whiners, the title of it, and I just went to say we had complaints. So what makes you want? This guy's putting on a race, Matt Martinez. He's sanctioning him, and what is his impetus to continue to do so when he gets shit like this? I know a few years ago, I don't know if he was involved in it, but Chico, they're changing some categories around. They're trying to make it more efficient for 3-4 days of racing. And people are like, we're not going because you don't have a Masters 35 to 36 birthdays in March with a Cat 4-5. And it was just like such a specific thing that they wanted and they weren't having it. And they're making complaints and we're not showing up. And okay. And then you don't have a 2020 with no racing. As soon as we have it coming back, you guys jump on the same bandwagon. I mean, how many races do you think you're gonna have? Go do a race, people. You win, I will recognize you on this show. That's much more important than upgrade points, isn't it? I think so. Between Two Wheels Rider of the Week, that could be you. We'll have a Rider of the Week for the most competitive. No, that's not it. For the Sky Martinez race series, perhaps recognized by the Between Two Wheels podcast. I would give you a bottle, maybe a shirt. I have an old Data-Driven Athlete shirt too. Chuck will write on there all bike racers are whiners except this guy, and we'll have that as your podium shirt for 2021 Sky Martinez Race of the Year. Okay, thanks everybody. This is episode 231. Thank you for joining in. I hope you have a really good Friday. We got some more racing coming up. Brabantis Peel, I think that's the one. Look at the Pais Vasco stage race that's going to be finishing up here. Brandon McNulty, cross our fingers. And who's your pick for the Masters? We've got golf coming up as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. April 9th, 2021. you